Hello and welcome to this video series where we're looking at building an e-commerce application using Next, Netlify and Stripe. So these are three really awesome technologies. They just keep packing more and more cool features in. I want to show you how to click some of those together and build something really awesome and hopefully useful. It's the 1st of December, so there's 25 days until Christmas. So each day we're going to build a little piece of this leading up to the 25th of December. Then you can launch your e-commerce platform to the world. And hopefully with those Boxing Day sales, you'll be able to make back some of the money that you spent leading up to Christmas. So in the first part of this series, we're going to look at building a React application. So we're going to start off with the React basics, learning about components, how to manage state, how to manage side effects, things like that. And then we're going to move on to some static site generation that Next gives us. So how can we get some really big performance wins for not very much effort? We then need a place to host this. So we're going to look at Netlify for hosting this on the World Wide Webs and giving that URL, that public URL, to whoever we want to buy our stuff. And we're also going to use Netlify's serverless functions to do some of the server-side logic so we don't need to host a server ourselves, which is very convenient. The last thing we're going to use is Stripe. So Stripe is going to allow us to actually charge those customers and make some of that Christmas money back. Awesome. So I'm excited to show you how we can build this e-commerce platform. We've got 25 days to do it. Let's get started. Okay, so before we jump into actually writing some code, we need to install some dependencies. So the first thing we need to install is Node.js. So if you head over to the Node.js website and then go to the downloads page, you should see this LTS or current. It doesn't really matter which one you install. Let's go with current just so it's the latest and greatest. And then you just need to select which operating system you're running. That'll download an installer, and then you can step through that and install the application. The next thing we need is Visual Studio Code. So we don't necessarily need this if you have another text editor that you prefer. But if that's not the case, or you haven't given Visual Studio Code a try, I highly recommend you give it a go. So if you go to visualstudio.com/download, and then again select which operating system you'd like to install this for, and step through that installer. And the last thing is iTerm2. So this is a terminal emulator that I use, which runs on macOS. You don't have to use this. You can use just the inbuilt command prompt or terminal if you're on a Mac, or the Windows sub Linux system thing if you're running that. But I'll be using iTerm2. So yeah, feel free to download that same version if you're running on a Mac and you would like to do that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is open up our terminal and we want to make a new directory for all of our code to live. So I'm going to say mkdir code. So that's going to create a new directory code. And then if I type ls, it's going to list all of the files and folders that are in the current directory that I'm in. You'll see that we have this new code folder here. So I'm going to change into the directory code. And then again, if we do ls, you'll see that there's nothing in this folder. So if you want to clear, you can do Command K or Control K, and that'll just kind of keep things clean. The next thing I'm going to do is open up Visual Studio Code. So you should be able to do that by just typing code and then space full stop, and that'll open the current directory in VS Code. If that didn't work for you, you can go and just open VS Code manually, and then if you do Command Shift P, which would be Control Shift P on Windows, and then if you type path, you'll see this shell command install path. Install code command in path. If you click that, you'll be able to use that command in the future. So just to make sure that we have everything wired up, we're going to create a new Node.js file. So we're going to call this index.js. So this is a JavaScript file, and we're just going to console log out hello world, exclamation mark. And when I save, you'll see that my single quotes went to double quotes and added an exclamation, a semicolon on the end. I have something called Prettier installed, which will just kind of format my code every time I save. So you might see things jump around a little bit. But yeah, that's just to kind of make it a little bit cleaner as I'm presenting. Cool, so we've got our application that's going to console log out hello world. The next thing we need to do is actually run it. So if we go back to the terminal, and then if we do ls now, we should see that we have this index.js file. And now if we want to run anything that is a node file, we can just say node and then the name of our file, so index.js. That's going to print out hello world. So awesome, we have everything wired up. Hopefully you've been able to get everything installed correctly. In the next video, we'll actually be creating our first React application and learning that. It's going to be awesome. I'll see you there.